Nobody warned Taylor Frankie Paul about what was going to happen when she walked into that room. 18 women who had all been exactly where she was standing. 18 women who had all felt exactly what she was about to feel. And when they started talking, when they started sharing things they had never said out loud on camera before, Taylor completely fell apart. And I need to talk about why that moment is the most important thing that has happened in this franchise in years. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you are either going to ugly cry with me or come for me in the comments. Okay, so here's what we are getting into today. First, I am breaking down every emotional moment from the Before the First Rose special and why Taylor's reaction to these women hit so differently than anyone expected. Then, I am getting into the deep backstory that explains why Taylor broke down the way she did. Because there is a wound that goes back to childhood that most casual fans still do not know about. And then I am giving you my full reaction and predictions heading into March 22nd, because this season is not what you think it is, and I need you to understand that before the premiere. Let's go. All right, so first things first. If you watched the Before the First Rose special last night on ABC after the Oscars, you already know the room was electric from the very first second. 18 former Bachelorettes all in one space. Trista Sutter, the woman who literally started all of this back in 2003. Kaitlyn Bristowe, JoJo Fletcher, Rachel Lindsay, Hannah Brown, Tayshia Adams, Becca Kufrin, Andi Dorfman, Emily Maynard Johnson, Katie Thurston, Charity Lawson, Joan Vassos from the Golden Bachelorette. All of them, together, for one woman who has never handed out a single rose in her life. And that right there is the thing you have to keep in mind, because it matters more than anything else in this special. Every single one of those 18 women earned their way into that room by going through the process. They competed, they got eliminated, they came back, they cried in the limo. They built their Bachelor Nation credentials the traditional way. And then Taylor Frankie Paul walks in. A woman who was sitting in Utah making TikToks about motherhood, and then got a phone call she thought was a prank. And she is now their equal. She is the Bachelorette. And you could feel in that room that the energy was a mix of genuine warmth and also this unspoken question of like, okay, who is she, and can she actually handle what is coming? And I haven't even gotten to the part that broke the internet yet. Because what made this special so different from anything Bachelor Nation has done before is that these women did not just give Taylor the standard advice. Be yourself. Trust the process. Follow your heart. No, they went deep. They talked about things they had never said publicly before, about the pressure of being watched by millions of people while trying to figure out if you are actually falling in love or just falling in love with the idea of it. About the loneliness you feel even when you are surrounded by cameras and producers and 20-something men who all claim to be there for you. About how hard it is to go home at the end of all of it, whether you find someone or not, and face your real life again. And Taylor sat there and absorbed every single word. And at some point during those conversations, something in her just cracked open. And she started crying in a way that was not performative and was not for the cameras. It was the kind of cry where you can see a person processing something much bigger than what is happening right in front of them. Now, I need you to focus, because this part changes everything we thought we knew about why Taylor is on this show at all. If you have been following Taylor since her Mormon Wives days, you know the surface-level story. The mom talk scandal, the divorce, the viral TikTok, the show, the Bachelorette announcement. That is the version most people know. But there is a layer underneath all of that Taylor has only talked about once or twice, and it is the thing that I think is actually driving everything she is doing right now. Taylor met her biological father exactly one time in her entire life. She was 4 years old. Her mom took her to a restaurant. Her dad looked at her and said, and I am paraphrasing here because her actual words in the confessional were gut-wrenching, he basically acknowledged her existence with 2 words and walked away. That was it. That was the only moment she ever had with him. And he has since passed away, which means there is no second chapter to that story. There is no reconciliation. There is no phone call where he finally explains himself. It is just over. That is all she gets. And Taylor has said on camera, crying, that feeling like your dad does not love you leaves a wound that does not heal on its own. That it sits there for years and years and shapes the way you see yourself and the way you accept or do not accept love from other people. I know. But wait, there's one more thing. Because that wound did not just affect her childhood, it followed her into her marriage with Tate Paul. It followed her into her chaotic, on-again, off-again relationship with Dakota Mortensen, which produced her youngest child and also one of the most dramatic storylines in Mormon Wives history. It followed her into the family barbecue scene in season 2 of that show, where her own stepdad said things to her on camera that made millions of viewers furious on her behalf. And she broke down then, too, crying in a confessional, saying she felt like she was hearing that she was trash, that she deserved what she got. This is a woman who has spent her entire adult life searching for the version of love that she never got as a little girl in that restaurant. And now she is standing in a room with 18 women who have all been through their own versions of heartbreak and survival. And they are looking her in the eyes and telling her she deserves this. She deserves to be here. She deserves to find something real. And that is why she broke down. It was not the cameras. It was not the drama. It was not the Bachelor Nation pressure. It was 18 strangers who somehow saw exactly what she needed to hear and said it out loud. Okay, I saved the best part for right now, and I need your full attention. Let's talk about the 6 bachelorettes who were not there, because the absences in that room are just as telling as the women who showed up. Jen Sheft from season 3 was not there. Jillian Harris from season 5 was not there. Michelle Young was dealing with health issues after her honeymoon. Gabby Windey did not appear. Jen Tran, the most recent bachelorette before Taylor, was not there. And Claire Crawley, who had one of the most talked about seasons in franchise history, was sick, but also said very openly that revisiting everything from her season was something she was not ready to do. And look, I am not going to drag any of these women for not showing up. Everybody has their reasons, and most of those reasons are private. But from a Bachelor Nation standpoint, the absence of Jen Tran in particular is the one people are talking about most. Because her season just aired. She is the most recent lead. She would have been the most natural bridge between the old era and the new one. And she was not there. And nobody has really explained why. And that silence is doing a lot of work right now in the fan communities. And then there is the bigger picture thing that I think people are kind of sleeping on. 6 out of 24 former leads choosing not to participate in a once-in-a-generation reunion special says something. I do not know exactly what it says, but it says something. Now let's talk about what this special actually set up for the premiere on March 22nd, because this is where I need to give you my real, honest analysis. Taylor Frankie Paul is going into this season carrying more emotional weight than probably any lead this franchise has ever had. She is a single mom of 3. She is coming off a complicated and very public situationship with Dakota that ended right before filming with him saying sorry and her responding that words are just words at this point. She has a childhood wound around abandonment that she has publicly acknowledged but clearly has not fully resolved. And she is about to go on national television and let 22 men compete for her heart, while millions of people watch and judge every single thing she does. That is a lot. And I think the Before the First Rose special was not just a fun legacy moment for Bachelor Nation. I think ABC knew exactly what they were doing by putting Taylor in that room with those women first. Because what came out of it was Taylor Frankie Paul standing in front of America saying, without saying it, that she is not here to play a role. She is not here to be the perfect Bachelorette. She is here because she genuinely needs this. And that authenticity is either going to make this the most emotional Bachelorette season ever, or it is going to make it the most chaotic one. Probably both. And here is my actual hot take that I am going to commit to right now. Taylor breaks before the finale. Not in a leaves the show kind of way, but in a I cannot keep pretending I am okay kind of way. There is going to be an episode somewhere in the middle of this season where everything she has been carrying just comes out on camera. And it is going to be one of the most talked about moments in the show's history. And the man she is with in that moment is going to be the one she picks. I am calling it now. Jesse Palmer himself said this season feels completely different from any previous lead. And after watching that special last night, after watching Taylor sit in that room and receive love from 18 women she had just met, I think I finally understand what he means. Different is not the word for it. What Taylor Frankie Paul brings to this show is something that cannot be manufactured. It is real pain and real hope sitting right next to each other. And you cannot fake that. Not even on reality television. Drop a rose in the comments if you think Taylor genuinely finds her person by the St. Lucia finale. Drop a broken heart if you think she walks away on her own terms. Because I genuinely do not know the answer. And I think, for the first time in a long time, neither does anyone else watching. And that is the most exciting thing Bachelor Nation has felt in years. All right, here is what you need to take away from everything we just covered. The Before the First Rose special was not just a preview. It was Taylor Frankie Paul being seen, maybe for the first time in a very long time, by a room full of people who actually understood what she was walking into. And she broke down because of it. Because that is what happens when someone who has spent years carrying everything alone finally gets to put some of it down for a second. The season premieres March 22nd on ABC, Sunday nights at 8. I am going to be doing a full breakdown of the premiere, the limo entrances, the first impressions rose, and all the early drama. You do not want to miss it. Make sure you are subscribed and the notification bell is on. If this video hit you right in the feelings today, hit the like button on your way out. I will see you on March 22nd. Be ready for everything.